Good evening, ladies and gentlemen that are watching this by video, and welcome, Dee. You're the only one here on time, so congratulations. You get me all to yourself for a little while. I'm sure we'll be joined by a few more members shortly. And what I'm going to do this evening is a presentation for E-Estate. It's Thursday evening, Thursday the 29th of January. It's 8 o'clock UK in the UK. And so that's it. We'll get on with a presentation. Now, if you've seen this presentation before, I'm not going to apologize because there's only a certain number of things that my knowledge and experience and expertise runs to. So I've got to reuse some of that material. But I'm going to do this slightly differently. It's a presentation I did about 6 weeks ago, but I'm going to change it up, add some more information, impact a few more points, bring a few more points out that I feel are important that I think I just glossed over last time. So hopefully you'll get something, even if you've seen this presentation before, you'll get something more out of it, and you'll understand why E-Estate is such a great investment. If you're interested in real estate or you're interested in making money or both, then you'll see why real estate is a tremendous opportunity and something you should check into and take very, very seriously. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen and we'll get on to a PowerPoint presentation. I like to use a PowerPoint presentation simply because it keeps me on the straight and narrow. It means that I'm not going to just wander off and start talking about all sorts of other things other than what I've prepared here for us for this evening's presentation. I like to start these presentations on time, out of respect for those of you that turn up on time, and I like to keep it to about 30 minutes. I believe that there's the mind can only absorb what the bum can endure, and so any more than about 30 minutes your attention will start wavering. So I will try and keep it short, sharp, to the point, not a lot of fluff and nonsense, and keep it to about 30 minutes. So with that, let's get started. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to compare a traditional real estate business and E-Estates. Now my qualifications, if you like, my credentials for doing that is I have my own property portfolio. I've been slowly trying to get rid of it because the government took all the fun out of owning and running a property portfolio back in 2012, and the effect of it really is just happening here. Today I saw an advert for somebody who was advertising saying, are you not having fun in your real estate business anymore? We can buy your properties off you. So it's got to the point now that lack of fun, lack of I don't know, just achievement, the lack of being able to do anything with your real estate, being the bottom of the pecking order when it comes to having rights. Everybody else in the world has more rights now than a landlord in the UK. So that's kind of taking effect now. So if you were thinking of traditional real estate to make a lot of money, because people do make a lot of money in traditional real estate, then you might want to either rethink that idea or add this to your portfolio, add this to your real estate ambitions, because you'll see why in a little while. So I also, as well as having my own portfolio, I ran a real estate sourcing business. Now there are 12 different ways of making money in real estate. In fact, now that we have E-Estate, I'm going to say there are 13 ways of making money with real estate. The one that I used to follow by and large was property sourcing. So I would find a developer that's building properties. Maybe he's building 100 properties, and I would take 10 of those properties off him, and I would package them up with mortgages and with all sorts of other things, a legal package all taken care of for my clients, and my clients would buy those off me for a fixed sum of money. So I was going to make a profit, and I could afford to do that over and over and over, as long as I had enough clients and I had enough relationships with the developers. So that's kind of where I am in real estate. There's lots of other people who do different things. They're actually developers. There are some people that just buy properties and flip them, make a profit. So yeah, they buy them at auction, or they buy a distressed property and flip it straight away, make some money, or they take it and they refurbish it and make some money. So there are lots of different ways of making money with real estate. So if you understand that, then you're going to love this presentation. So let's look at what a traditional real estate business used to ask me to do, or asks anybody to do, really. Let's suppose you want to develop your own portfolio. You think, I'm going to start with what I've got. I'm going to remortgage the house, maybe. I'm going to cash in my pension, cash in my my life insurance policies, whatever it is. I'm going to take a big chunk of money and I'm going to get into the real estate business. And with that, then you buy properties. You probably buy them on mortgage or a loan. And then, because by doing that, you can then leverage your money. You can buy more property with less of your own money. And then you have to develop your own portfolio. So you don't want just one property. You want to own several properties. How many is entirely up to you. I know people with thousands of rental properties. We call in the UK we call them buy-to-let properties. I know people with thousands of those, and I know people with half a dozen. We've only got a few left now because we're trying to offload all of ours, but we did have a lot more at one point. So to develop your own portfolio, you need time and effort because it's not really the real estate business, like pretty much every business on the face of the planet, is not really about the industry it's in, it's about people. And certainly with real estate, you need time and effort to develop contacts to source the properties. I used to spend a lot of my time in the car driving off to meet developers, meet in their offices. They showed me around their site. I talked to their salespeople, and I could spend a whole day on one development and maybe not even get any properties from that development. If they can't meet my price, we don't do business. It's not a problem. You just have to be prepared to walk away if you can't get the price you want. And very often you can't, but once in a while you can. This all takes time, and time is money, so it used to cost money. It would and then once you have that relationship, you have to maintain the relationship. You have to keep in contact every few weeks. You also had to talk to the local real estate agents in the UK. We call them estate agents, the people that actually sell the property then to the public and see if they've got any properties that are suitable for you that you could talk to the owner and get the right price. So you'd have all those contacts to manage, and sometimes you get a contact through or a lead through from an architect. So you had to maintain relationships with architects, and then you were going to network breakfast meetings and network evening meetings and then property development network meetings, and it's just meet people all the time. And you're wondering when was there ever any time for doing business? And the answer is after everybody else has clocked out and gone home after 5, then that's when the real entrepreneurs get to work and do their business late in the evening, over the weekend. Everybody else is enjoying themselves. Somebody with a burning ambition to succeed is going to be using that time to build their business. You need expertise in assessing a deal. What are you looking at? Can you actually get it at this price? If you do, how will that work? What are the current mortgages? I used to spend time talking to mortgage broker, not the brokers, but the companies themselves. I had a direct line to all the mortgage companies in the UK, and anytime I needed a particular mortgage, I could assess somebody's situation, fill in questionnaires with them, and I would know exactly. I'd narrow it down to one or two mortgages, and then we take it from there. So that all takes time. It all takes effort. I still haven't done any business at this stage. I haven't made any money. I may not have even acquired any properties yet. Once you assess what the deal is, then you need to be able to negotiate to get the deal that you want, the price that you want, the time frame. Maybe you're going to do a delayed completion. Maybe you're going to do an options purchase. Maybe you're going to, I don't know, you could do all sorts of things. You could no, let's not go into that because we're not going to do that anyway. But you needed the skills to negotiate it, and then you needed the capital to buy the properties, or on a mortgage or whatever. You needed a line of credit then from a bank, and that took time to organize. Then you needed legal fees, for the contract, for the searches, for the conveyancing, and just so many other things. Just when you think that you got the legal fees paid, your attorney phones you and says you need to pay for this as well, and another one of those. And this is now out of date, so you've got to replace. You've got to do that again. You've got to get valuations, and and the cost is all yours. Once you have the property, if it's going to be a tenanted property, which is if you're developing your own portfolio, that's exactly what you want is tenants. You need an ability to find tenants. Now, there are services you can pay for, and they will provide a tenant for you within a few weeks. Excuse me. Because the worst thing when you have a rental property, the worst thing is if you have no tenant in there, because the bills keep coming in. And in fact, in the UK, you get more bills when there's no tenant. You got all the local council tax bills, and the local tax bills, and so on and so forth. You get all of that with no tenant to pay for them for you. So you need to keep tenants in there, and sometimes that's easier said than done. A 2 or 3 month void is not unusual. And legal compliance with tenancy rules. You need to make sure you're in position to get the right advice, to to be able to complete all the forms and register with all the right regulatory bodies and so on. So all of that takes time and money. Once you've got the property, you've got a tenant in there, your price point that you're going to charge them their rent, is going to determine your yield, and your yield must cover your mortgage payments if you have them, service charges if it's a shared, a shared property, if, for example, a block of apartments. The insurance, you need to have insurance on your properties. If one of your tenants falls and breaks their leg, you're liable for that, believe it or not. Voids, I've mentioned voids, everything, the bills still keep coming in, even though you have no tenant to pay it. If you have staff, and it's hard to build a very large business in real estate without having staff because there just aren't enough hours in the day. And you need to carry out regular inspections to make sure that they're not trashing your property. And you need to have checking in and checking out routines and inspections, and ways of getting the security deposit off them through a proper registered security deposit scheme, and then giving them the money back at the end. And then if you don't have to make a claim on their security deposit, you've got to register that, and an ombudsman will say whether you can keep some of the money, and if so, how much. And this all just takes time. It's all admin. If they break things, or if things break, and things do break, a fridge breaks down, you don't pay $300 for a new fridge, because of the rental property you're paying $600. A light bulb, a lamp, you might pay. I paid £85, so that's about $100 the other day for somebody to go and change a light bulb in one of my properties. It took him about 2 minutes. The light bulb cost about a pound, so $1.50, and I paid $100 for that. Okay, you've just got to be prepared to swallow up those costs, because you can't run around the country changing light bulbs for all your tenants in far distant parts of the country. You just can't. So then let's suppose that now we've changed the tack here. With this, not by building your portfolio, this is building your real estate business. So what I was doing is buying a number of properties from a developer, packaging them up, and pass them on to my clients. Now, if I'm going to do that, I need to know that as soon as I get those properties, I can pass them on to clients. So I had to build up my database of clients. I had to pre-qualify them. Have you got this much money? Is it ready to go? Can you qualify for this type of mortgage? And so I had to do all that. Every single client we had was 3 or 4 hours of work to find out all this information. And then once in a while, I had to check with them, make sure they're still available to take these deals. And then when I get I take these properties as a batch, maybe 10 houses, for example, and I would have a number of clients ready to jump on board for that. But that all takes time. What you don't want to do is to keep hold of the properties, and all of a sudden you're liable for mortgages and things. So then you have to market your properties, and you have to negotiate the sale. You now have to negotiate with the clients to make sure you've got, that they're pre-qualified and has the money available ready to go. Then you still have to pay the legal fees to them. So you paid the legal fees to take the property from the developer. Now you've got to pay the legal fees on the other side to get it to your client. It's all included in the price, but of course it all takes time. Repairs, remedial work, if there is any, one-off profit that attracts other costs and expenses. So, I'm trying not to say taxes, but that's kind of what I'm alluding to there. So you make a profit on the deal, and all of a sudden you've got to give a big chunk of it away to your local government, because they're going to spend it for you so wisely. Did I say that? Okay. Now, with the E-Esate business, so that's a real estate business, a proper real estate business, and that's kind of what I went through. And it was good fun. Don't get me wrong, it was good fun, hard work. Met some great people, did some good deals, made some good money, but boy, was it hard work. And there was so much uncertainty. I was often caught on the back foot with unexpected expenses, being stuck with properties, holding them longer than I should have, and so on and so forth. When even though you've got a pre-qualified client ready to take that property, all of a sudden something happens, a relative dies, he's made redundant, or his company went bankrupt, or whatever it is. You can't say, well, you promised me you buy this property off me. You've just got to swallow that cost yourself. Nobody ever thinks of that. So let's look at E-Esate now, because E-Esate is still involved in real estate. You can have all of the benefits of a traditional real estate business, but I'm going to show you how much easier it is to be a buyer within E-Esate. So as a buyer, you can register in 2 minutes. That's really all the time you need to put into this. Register as a buyer, and then look through the list of properties, see how much money you want to invest, and you can buy your first property in 2 minutes. When I buy a property now, it takes me about 30 seconds because I've done it a dozen times. It doesn't take very long. You don't need to go and source the deals. We have a team of people out there in one of our partner companies that are out there looking for these properties. They know exactly what they're looking for. They spend the time, the effort, the money to make the contacts, to see the properties, to visit the properties, to package it all up as a deal. And then they present it to us and we go, yeah, thank you. I'll have some of that, have some money. And in 2 minutes, you've bought a share of a property. So they provide the deals for us. You don't have to go and find them. I mean, that's just a tremendous thing, that all of that work is done for you. You don't need a lot of capital. If you've got $10,000, you can buy $10,000 worth of property. You haven't even got to put it all into one property. You could buy $1,000 in each of 10 different properties, or 3 here, 5 there, 2 there. It's entirely up to you. If you've got $1,000, you can still get involved in real estate. In fact, if you've got $100, you can still get involved in real estate. We've now got, in case I don't mention it later, we now have a new property added to the site today. It's called Desert Villa. And Desert Villa can be purchased for as little, or part of it can be purchased for as little as $100. Okay, so if you're looking for that sort of price range, or if you're looking for a villa that's going to produce a great return for you, I'm not going to go through what the return is, but it's all of the. I will go through roughly, the rough outline of what the profit in a deal looks like, but it may not be this exact one that I'm talking about. So you don't need a lot of capital. You don't need a mortgage because you're not going to borrow money. You're just going to use money you've already got. You don't need to pay any legal fees. As you purchase a purchase a property within E-Estate, you sign a legally binding contract. And that contract really is your safeguard. It's saying that you own this share of this property. So it's a legal document, but it's all part of the service. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't need to find tenants. Our property sourcing company does that for us as well. So they bring the property in and then they put tenants in there, and the tenants pay and we make profit every single day. I'll go through a little bit about how that works in a minute. We don't have voids. Now, I don't know if our property sourcing people do have voids with their tenants, but if they do, it doesn't affect me. I get paid exactly what we'd agreed every single day. I get that. So I'm assuming there are no voids, but if there are, it doesn't bother me at all. My money comes in every single day, Monday to Friday. And you get a fixed yield income. So the way this works is that when you purchase a property, depending on the property itself, and you can see this before you ever purchase it, it will tell you how much you're going to make per day, per month, and over the 18-month period. So we have an 18-month period after you invest into a property. In the 18-month period, you get enhanced profits. You get most of the profit back up front. Okay. And typically, whatever you put into the deal, you'll receive that back between 2.5 and 3.5 times within the 18 months. Don't hold me to that. It's just a rough guide. But I've never been involved in a real estate deal where I put my money in and I get all my money back within, I get 2.5 to 3.5 times back within 18 months. And I've still got hold of the property and then I earn an ongoing income for the next 20, 30, 40 years. I've never had that. This is incredible. So you get this enhanced profit picture for 18 months. After 18 months, it goes into a passive phase where you get 10%. Whatever you put in, you get 10% of that for however long we hold the property for. I was initially thinking, well, I'm not sure because, the yield, if I have my own properties, the yield is slightly better than that. But then I started comparing. That's not a good comparison, you see, because out of my yield, I have to pay so many other things, as I said just now. But the real comparison is to say, well, stocks and shares. If you have shares of a company that's going to pay you a dividend every 6 months or every year, okay, that's the real comparison. There aren't any shares out there at the moment paying 10% per year. Microsoft are paying 0.75% per year per share, and Tesla have decided they're not going to pay any shares for the foreseeable future. No dividends, I should say. No dividends for the foreseeable future. Whereas E-Estate, 10% per year. It doesn't go up some years and down some years. It's 10%. You can build your future on that. You can build an empire on 10% per year. You just need to know how to do it. So some properties have an automatic buyback at the end of the 18 months active phase, and some properties, with these properties, you'll receive back about 3.5 times your investment. And then at the end of the 18 months, when the property is bought back, you get your money back again. So if you had, for example, $100,000, and I'm not suggesting you have, but you might know some people who do. After, in fact, I'll cover that in a few minutes. So just remember I said this. So we'll cover it in a little bit. So the buyback also returns your initial capital. You buy and earn great profit for 18 months, and then you get your money back. That's an awesome deal. So that's what a buyer gets. Now, if you want to increase your income a little bit more, then nothing to do with buying property, you can become an e-estate agent, a digital real estate agent. And to do that, you need to register on the site. You need to answer some questions, provide certain information, agree to pay a subscription. And if you pass all this stuff correctly, you get to, you can download a certificate and put on the wall and say, I'm a digital real estate agent. Okay. Excuse me. And so why would an agent do that? Well, an agent gets some commissions and some bonuses. I'll get to those in a minute. So as an agent, you can register your clients within 2 minutes. It takes, or I said earlier, just to get a profile of a client, it used to take me 4 hours, and I'd have to keep that updated, and I'd have to keep in touch with them on a regular basis. 2 minutes, you can introduce a friend of yours to buy properties, and within 2 minutes, they're registered, your work is done. Because e-estate markets to your clients. You don't have to do it. You don't have to go and produce photos and take pictures and write hundreds of words of copy and this sort of thing. E-estate does it for you. No skill required to negotiate with your clients because you're not actually selling them properties. Once you've introduced them to e-estate, e-estate's going to do the deals for you. No legal fees to pay. The active phase of profit returns your capital between 2.5 and 3 times during the first 18 months. And then the passive phase, 10% per year. We've covered that. And you have no ongoing costs for repairs, tenant replacement, anything, nothing at all. You can earn deal commissions when your clients or their clients buy property, okay, down 8 levels. So if you have a buyer, bring in a buyer, bring in a buyer, bring in a buyer. When they buy properties, you still earn deal commissions, okay? And as an agent, you have buyers, but buyers can also be agents. So an agent, you may have an agent who has a lot of buyers, a lot of agents below there who have a lot of buyers. So this can grow really quite quickly, very profitably. You can also earn profit commissions when your clients or their clients are an ongoing daily income, and that goes down 5 levels. So now you've got two ways of earning income. One is from the deals themselves, that's a one-off payment, and then every day when they earn money, you get some money. And you can earn increasing bonuses, which is based then on the amount of volume in your business. Every time somebody in your business buys a property, that adds to your volume, and based on that volume, you will receive different bonuses up to when you get to the top level 10. This is worth $10,000 in cash plus some other bonuses. And you can recruit as many buyers and as many agents as you want. There's no limit, which if you strategize properly, you'll realize that how profitable that is. Ongoing support of your buyers and agents is provided by the company. There are Telegram groups, there are Zoom calls, there are just, all this printed information and so on. And then once in a while, like in Miami, in a couple of days' time, there's going to be a big event in Miami. Okay, and if you haven't already registered that, I believe it's too late, but check with the person who's introduced you because something may be able to be done. I don't know. So that's all provided by the company. It doesn't cost you a penny. You don't have to spend any time organizing it. So let me give you this comparison that I was trying to do verbally. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about Bitcoin. This isn't this isn't about real estate. I was going to compare it with my real estate business. I'm going to talk about Bitcoin because it's topical. So imagine you invest 100,000 in Bitcoin 1 year ago. The price was $109,000, and you'd have been able to buy most of a Bitcoin, 91% of a Bitcoin. And the price of Bitcoin today is 91,000. I think that's right. So your $100,000 investment would now be worth $83,000. Yay! Don't get me wrong, I love Bitcoin, and if you're in that position, hold the Bitcoin. It's going to go up. Don't panic. Don't do a panic sell and lose $17,000. No need for that. It will be back. But let's just let's just compare this now with E-Esate. So you got a 17% loss. If you had a Bitcoin and you put $100,000 in, it would be sorry, if you okay, I'm confusing myself. So you bought $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, not a whole Bitcoin. So that's a 17% loss in the last year. So let's have a look at what E-Esate, what will happen if you do the same thing now with E-Esate, put $100,000 in and you buy a development property. Now, the development property I spoke about earlier is basically where you earn your money for 18 months and then there's a property buyback at the end of 18 months. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. So your $100,000, it will be returned to you in the daily profit, and it'll take about 5 months. And then the profit in the remaining 13 months of the 18-month period is another 231,500. And if you just multiply those out, you'll see it's just a proportion. Then the return during the 18-month active phase is the total of those two. So you got basically you're earning this much money for 18 months, which is 331,500. Then you still get your original capital back after the property buyback. So you've turned $100,000 into $431,000 in 18 months. And virtually no risk because the property is real estate. It's there. It's not going anywhere. It's not like somebody can go along and pick it up and take it somewhere else and say you can't have it anymore. It's mine. Okay, it's a property. So or a property development site. So it's as safe as houses. So that's instead of a 17% loss now, you're going to make a 431% gain in the next 18 months compared to the last year of Bitcoin. So I just wanted to share that with you because it's important, I think, to look at E-Esate. It's such a different beast probably from what you've looked at, because you'll be looking at this for one of two reasons. You either love real estate or you love online businesses. And if you come from a real estate background like I did, there's nothing like E-Esate in the real estate world. Okay, there just isn't. It's a tremendous deal for those of us who love property and want to make money from it. If you're looking at an online business, then the benefit of E-Esate is that all of the tokens are backed by real estate. It's not a token that will change value based on how many people are buying. When Elon Musk sells a load of Bitcoin, the price goes down. It's not like that at all. It's pegged. The price of your investment is pegged to the price of the properties. And the properties, yes, they do fluctuate a little bit, but in general, they go up in price. If you can get hold of the 2025 financial report that landed about 4 days ago, then you can look through that and you can see the increase in the price of villas in Miami that we were selling last year. We were selling them last year. We ran out a few weeks ago, and the amount that people were paying for those compared to the price of them now, their property has already made a dramatic increase in capital gains. It's made a great increase in price. Okay. It costs nothing to do that. People have already had their money back from those deals, or they're getting their money back from those deals, and the value of the property is increasing. So it's whichever way you're looking at E-Esate, it's really worth taking seriously as an investment program, as a real estate business, as an online business. It just covers all of the bases. It's pretty special. It's pretty special. So this is a comparison between the two things I was talking about there. Invest 100, lose some money with Bitcoin. That's a cross at the bottom there, and then with E-Esate, invest 100,000, make a lot of money, 431%. That's a check mark there. I don't know if you can see it. So what do you want to do? So what do I suggest you do now is get back to the person who invited you on the Zoom call or the person who sent you this video. It's available on YouTube. Get their E-Estate agent's referral link. As a buyer, you don't have a referral link. You need to be an agent to get a referral link. Register in E-Estate and look around the site. There's not a lot of pages, but there's a huge amount of information, particularly in the information in the information hub. There's so much stuff, videos and certificates of and notes of meetings and all sorts of things. It's just a lot of information. So anything you could possibly want to know is in the back office, and you can register as a buyer. You can register for free. Discuss your real estate plans with your introducer. What do you actually want to do? How much money do you want to make? Over what time frame? How much do you have to start with? And this sort of thing. And they will help you come to a realistic strategy or realistic plan to get what you want. Okay, now you've got to be realistic. You can't start with very little and have a huge business this time next year, but you can start with very little and build up over a period of time to have a very large business, very large income. Okay, it just takes the less you start with, the longer it's going to take. But you can also, if you're a savvy investor and you're used to investing 100,000, then you'd be interested in the deal I just outlined. So don't negate that. There's something for everyone. If you want to introduce other people, and in fact, if you're going to buy property from E-Estate, I would suggest you consider becoming an agent, just in case you introduce somebody else later down the line. But if you become an agent, so then you have two hats. You have a buyer hat and you have an agent hat. And so you, as an agent, you put your hat on and sell you as the buyer, the property. You buy it as a buyer, then you as the agent earns commissions for that sale. So you get the best of both worlds. And you can deposit your investment funds and make your first purchase very quickly and easy. You put your money into the e-wallet, and then as you're buying the property, it says, where do you want to pay the money from? You can select your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, your USDT, your Dogecoin, whatever coins you want to spend. Or one of the options is take the money from your e-wallet, and that's the one most of us use. And then join the E-Estate Telegram groups and the Facebook groups. When you're in the back office, there is a list of all the different social media where E-Estate has support groups and community groups and so on. Join all of those. Keep up to date with what's happening. And that's it. Keep up to date. Go on the Zoom calls, meet other people, go to some of the events and so on. So that's kind of what I would suggest you do. So with that, that's the end of my presentation. I thought there was a last slide, but that's it. So I'm going to stop the share. And I'm going to come back to the room now. I say, nice to see a few other people turn up. So Dee, you didn't have me all to yourself for very long. So I'm going to thank you guys all for being here. Those of you that watched the video right to the end, I'd be interested just to hear that you did that. If you could just drop a comment and say, I made it, or I survived that video, or whatever you want to say, just to let me know that you made it. I'm always interested. Also like and subscribe and share. It just helps get this message out to a few more people. And so get back to the person who introduced you and get the help to get your E-Estate business up and running. Or if you're already up and running, get them to help you strategize to it bigger, better, faster. None of us are as smart as all of us, so don't be a stranger. I know a lot of us are kind of loath to take advice, but it's a smart thing to do. I hate doing it, but I'm smart enough to go and do it. Humble yourself to somebody who knows a little bit more, and it'll all work out well for you. Okay, so with that, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for your time and attention. I really do appreciate it. I'll be doing a similar presentation next Thursday evening, 8 o'clock UK time. Look out for the post in the Telegram groups, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys then. God bless.